Okay, welcome to another Chili Chat with Eric on the Goblins and Gambles Twitch channel. I'm joined by Spencer from Gathering of the Ages podcast. They are running for 4 years now. They're doing Carrying Crown. Thank you so much for joining us, Spencer. Did you want to
Yeah.
introduce yourself to the
You
world?
did a pretty great job. I mean, that's all I am. I'm Spencer from Gathering of the Ages. So I'm from Utah. I saw Eric's post in the Paizo Discord channel and just thought it seemed like a really cool, fun opportunity. So I'm really glad to be here. Thank you for having me
Yeah,
tonight.
thank you for coming. It's really great. I got a few people from that channel out so far, and that's been really great to like talk to other people. There's very few people that are like in the same boat as me with doing a Pathfinder podcast. So it's nice to like talk to other people in that world and
Hmm.
get to like see other
Yeah,
experiences and stuff. So yeah, I'm glad you reached out. I'm glad that we set this up. This is I'm really excited. So we've already been chatting for a while. It's been
yeah.
great conversation so far. So it's nice that people are starting to join us now. But yeah, so Carrying Crown, you're running that in that your podcast. You've been doing it.
Hmm.
You're what? Just released episode 172, right?
Yes, the
Yeah,
episode 172 came out tonight. So
that's hugely exciting. What
yeah,
book of the adventure are you guys in at this point?
we are almost halfway through the fourth book.
Okay, so it's pretty like not close to the end, but like
No.
far along.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
about a
We
book a year. That's pretty good.
yeah, that's what it averages to. I feel like this one's been going a little bit faster for some reason. I don't know why. I maybe because we're having more fun with this book. I can't figure it out, but
Well, you're more experienced,
yeah.
and it's higher play too, right? Like, what level are your guys at this point?
Uh, they are. Oh my gosh, I can never remember. I want to say they're ninth. I
Yeah,
want to say they're ninth.
I'm the same way
And
when
we're
I DM. I'm like, what level are you guys? Like, what
yeah,
am I? What like
yeah.
level monsters can I throw at you?
Yeah, I have to do the same thing. I have to whenever I'm like building a combat, I have to go. What level are you guys? I need to pick up the CR for this fight.
Six. All right, 10 more goblins.
Yeah,
Let's do this.
yeah. Oh, so I can't throw that in there. Okay, dang
Can't be an old dragon. It has to be a young dragon. All
it.
right.
Yeah, yeah,
Gotta do some math. We'll be fine.
yeah. Let me put some weakening templates on it.
Yeah, exactly.
So
We're
yeah,
gonna.
yeah,
It's already been hit by a fireball. That's what we'll
yeah.
say.
Exactly. Yeah. It's starving for some reason. Yeah.
Put the sickened note on it. Yeah,
Yeah.
let's do
Yeah.
this. Sickened young dragon. All right.
Yeah.
No TPK tonight.
Yeah.
I feel like we've all been there with as when you DM Pathfinder, like you, all of us have been in that place, like having to do something on the fly like that. Like, man, I hate when monsters get conditions. Trying to track that, it's
Oh,
so annoying.
it's so awful. Your wisdom is down 4 points. Well, what does that
Yeah,
mean?
what does that mean?
Yeah. How do I play a slightly dumber like
Like he's
monster? Like I
already
just
goblin.
don't
How can
know.
he be dumber? Come on.
Yeah.
I can only do so much, guys.
Yeah, no, I'm not. This character, this NPC doesn't even have a voice. Like I didn't even act as him. You're gonna kill him, and
Yeah.
it's gonna be over and done with. Yeah.
So, what was it about Carrying Crown that made you just do that for the podcast? Was there like a conscious thought to that? Like, what attracted you to that adventure path?
When we originally were starting, there's 20 something adventures, and so we just tried to narrow it down to three or four that we really liked. I want to say we had two horror because I think we are going to do that one or Strange Aeons,
Okay, okay.
and we liked and I can't remember exactly why we landed on it. But I think we went with that type of horror because my mother is on the show with us,
Hmm.
and when she came on, she said, "I really really want to be on and play with you guys. I really want to learn how to play." But can we tone down the cussing? Can we keep it family friendly? And so we were like, yeah. And then we picked Carrying Crown because it's very, gothic horror. You can kind of keep that stuff very light. I didn't realize that the fourth book took a hard right turn into Lovecraftian horror, and it's been interesting. It's been a challenge trying to tone things down a little bit because
keep it mom friendly for sure.
Yeah,
that is tough because like Paizo does. It does take a lot of influences from Lovecraft. Like, I'm a big fan of Carrion Hill, their module, and it's heavily Lovecraft inspired. So it was like a lot of the play test for Pathfinder 2 was heavily Lovecraft inspired. So it's I'm not surprised that they did that, especially with like what their Carrying Crown's about. I kind of get why they would do that. But it's hard to cut that out
it did kind of come out of left field with it. I want to say they kind of did it because they Carrion Hill, I think the module was out already, or it was like newer at the time because the adventure's 10 years old. I want to say this year. So
I think it was 2011.
I think I want to say I could be completely wrong, but I want to say it was some kind of promo book, and then they could play this module to like get into the Lovecraft. You know, that Lovecraft vibe when they get into the fourth book.
Yeah.
So
I'm not surprised that.
Yeah, it's been interesting.
Yeah, you're saying it's been interesting.
It's been really interesting. We have a guy who really good friend of the family who listens to it with his son, and there's a lot of heavy themes in the fourth book, and I can't really change anything because it's so integral to the story of the fourth book. And so we're constantly putting disclaimers on episodes. We're just going like, if you're listening to this particular episode with a little kid, this might not be the episode for them.
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah, because it and it gets even darker the longer it goes on, and it's been a challenge to try and because he tells me like his kid will listen to it. And he loves listening to the fights and listening to all the different monsters, but when we start getting into some of that body horror where some guy's head is exploding and tentacles are coming out of it, he's like, I had to turn it off for that one. So
yeah, that's a hard thing to cut out. Like that's a huge part of the modules. Like I know from like me reading Carrion Hill and stuff, like that's a big part of a lot of those modules. So it's hard to cut that. Hard to cut that for sure. Yeah.
After this book, I think it really goes back to that gothic horror Bram Stoker feel. Okay. And so I think we'll have a much easier time going forward because we have a lot of moments too where it'll either fade or we just won't even touch it. We just won't describe it as in as much detail as like I normally do because I run Signal Screams for another group and for Starfinder, and that whole adventure is just this horrifying body horror adventure and so I can get really descriptive when I want
That's
to.
The joy of
and
it, right?
Yeah, and so some of those things where when it starts getting really heavy, we'll try to tone it down a little bit or just fade to black entirely.
Yeah.
So
yeah, we haven't got to any like crazy gory stuff in any of our stuff, but like in this genre of game, like that can happen so often.
Yeah,
it's just part of it sometimes. Like when you're dealing with scary monsters that want to eat people, I have a hard time because like in our Monster of the Week game, we play in like the Wild West. So like, and I want to do there's part of me that wants to do monsters that like steal children and do all this stuff, and it's just like at the same time I don't want to do that because it's a podcast
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't want to kill off kids. So like I mean, we're in the middle of our second mystery right now, and I haven't killed kids, but like I've done some like gross, like descriptions of the monsters are doing right now. Like,
Yeah.
things like people will hear this eventually, but like there's like these corrupted shards of glass that will turn whatever they get stuck into like a beast, like a monster, and like describing that going into something's eye and stuff. I've done that.
Oh.
And
Yeah.
it freaks people. It freaks like my friends, like the players. It freaks them right out.
Yeah.
And it's like, did I go too far there? Like maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
There'll be a content warning for this one for sure. Because but it's like you have to when you're doing like a scary thing. You have to do stuff like that. Like, you have to make people feel cringy and stuff. It's like when there's monsters that don't care about killing people, they're not going to hold back, right? They're going to be monsters.
Yeah.
So that's a hard thing.
One of my favorite examples of that mentality in horror is Alien.
Yeah.
And I was watching the behind the scenes. They were interviewing the director, and he said he wanted to make a movie so intense that even the men were like crossing their legs in uncomfortability.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, he really did it. Like he really nailed it with that first movie. And that's what you want to do with horror. You want to make people really uncomfortable. Because you want to put that fear in the characters, but it's so hard when you get invested in that character because you really get into that mindset sometimes, and it's hard to separate the two after a while.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. It is tough.
Yeah.
Like you want to do terrible things to the players, but at the same time you want them to survive. Like that's the thing. Like that's my trouble with Monster of the Week. Like I love their characters. Like I think they're some of my favorite PCs in any games I've played. It's so much fun to interact with them. I want to see their stories. At the same time, like they are going against some lethal monsters, and if they mess around too much, I'm going to kill them. And that's like, I don't want to kill these people. I like these people. It'd be like watching X-Files and seeing like Mulder get killed in the first season. It'd just be like,
it'd be weird.
It would be.
It's a little different. It's a little different on a show because the characters are your cast, and it's really difficult when someone dies because you've built a story around them, and it'll happen. We've had a couple characters leave or die, and just like life, their story ends there, but it's a game at the same time. It's a show that you're putting on, and so you have to think of a way to keep it rolling as well. Because it can like hard derail for a little bit while they're trying to meet the new character and get familiar with them. So yeah,
it's tough. Like I've talked about this on this show before with other DMs and stuff. Like as an audience member or as a cast member, you get invested with these people and to see like, and it's such a like it's just like you have all this like continuity and stuff and building, and then you just get cut off because of some bad dice rolls. And like it's like you don't want to remove that. You don't want to remove the lethality from your game because like that's a part of this storytelling, and like the dice help decide what happens. That's what we've all agreed to kind of when we play this game. Otherwise, we would all just put our dice away. But it's at the same time when you're like building something, to have that cut off is really rough. And it's like as a dungeon master or whatever, do you like? How do you keep that going? Does someone else take up that storyline, or do you reskin it? Like it's such a hard decision, and also try and make it entertaining for everyone watching. It's tough. It's a tough decision.
Yeah, it is, and it's very hard. It's hard to just say goodbye too. Like even if you know that you can keep it going and the momentum's not going to die, it's very sad. It's weird to say, but it almost feels like you lose a friend when that character leaves.
No, 100%. Yeah. Like we haven't had any character deaths on our podcast. We've had a couple people leave though, and start new characters or something,
Mm-hmm.
and like I miss those old characters. And like I know if my character
Yeah.
died, I would miss him. I would very much miss him. So it's
Yeah.
like I don't want to see him go away ever.
Yeah.
So it's tough. Like so this is actually the first time I've really played as a player. I'm normally a forever. Before this I was a forever GM. So it's really been nice to like let Connor be the GM and be a player and get to experience that, because I don't usually get to. So it's my first time I've made a character. He's a lot like me, which is like I shouldn't have done that, but I did. And he's like me, but like way less charismatic. He forgets people's names. He's probably just like pig-headed, and it's just so much fun to play him. He's just like a gruffer version of me, basically. And somehow he ended up being the king. Like he's the king somehow, and I still try to wrap my head around that. But he's the least charismatic guy ever, and they made him the ruler. So it's he's a lot of fun to play, because it's like, okay, how can I be abrasive in this situation, but like not mean, but like how can I mess this conversation up purposefully, but like make it not look like I'm doing it on purpose. Like, so I flub people's names, and I just like say like it's a lot of fun playing this character, and I really miss him. He's a really fun guy to get into his skin for, like you said, like an hour every week, where you're like you're like that person, because you're trying to, it's a lot more like acting than playing, like than goofing around with your friends.
Yeah, I when we started, I did not realize how exhausting going hard for 2 hours can be, because when you hit record, you're on.
Yes.
You're on for an hour and a half, and you have to be that character. And there's out of character moments. There's the table banter that happens, but not nearly the amount that you'd see in a casual session with your friends. And I like, we can only do 2 episodes at a time. Any more than that, and I'm burnt. I'm like, I can't keep going, because I'm tired. I'm like fried. The numbers are killing me. I need to get back to Spencer.
Yeah, exactly. You have that decompression after events like that. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. The last time we recorded, we recorded our Kingmaker, and then we're trying to get our next round of Monster of the Week to finish before Labor Day. So we did a session of Monster of the Week, and like that switch over is tough. It's like that break. It's like trying to switch from like one character to another mentality can be hard, and it's like asking us to do it like 20-minute break is like, it can be tough to be like, and like I find after playing Monster of the Week, I'm always so like hoarse in the throat, because like you're so much. It's much more like a conversation with a person. There's so much more. Like, I don't know if you can tell, but my game's paused right now because I like this conversation so much. I want to focus on it, because you're dialed in with the person. You're making eye contact. You're engaged in Monster of the Week. Whereas I find with Pathfinder, when you have that character sheet that you really have to baby in Pathfinder to like figure your stuff out. You're stepping back. You're trying to think of what you're going to do next in combat. Even as a DM, like, you're looking up like what Stagger does. You're looking up what the spell does. You're pre-planning. You're kind of listening to what the guy's saying, but you're more disconnected. Whereas Monster Week, I find, is more of a conversation. So you're dialed in it all the time. Even if it's if you're a player and you're just watching someone else's scene, you're so like, you want to know what they're about to find out, because it's going to improve your knowledge of the mystery overall. You're a lot more dialed in. Whereas like if someone hits the monster for 10 damage in Pathfinder, you don't care. Like, you don't. You're just like, okay, I know, I still need to do what I need to do on my turn. You're still thinking about that. Whereas it's not that back and forth.
And the combats for me, while fun in a different sense, the real meat of the show really comes from those really great, like you said, those conversation moments between 2 characters, or between me and another character at the table. And those have been some of my favorite moments. We do a few like scripted, where we'll write a whole script and heavily edit it and put sound effects with it. but we do those very few, far between.
Yeah.
Um, and it's usually like backstory stuff. It's never usually stuff that is happening
Yeah.
in the moment, or it's someone seeing something else that's happening uh at a a later time, or like a flash sideways or
Hmm.
something. But yeah, those conversation moments are definitely the best. We've had some really standout moments from, and it's really fun to see because I play with my family. And so I have
Hmm.
my mom, my two brothers, my brother-in-law, and it's really incredible to see, uh, it's like my younger brother in particular, really come out of his shell and just explode creatively, and uh, and my brother-in-law at the same time, just getting to see him in an element that I didn't think he'd ever be in
Yeah.
when we started doing this, and it's just a really fun experience to see, not really a different side of them, but a side I never thought I'd get to see
Yeah.
when we started. So
I mean, that's the great thing about role playing games. Like, I don't know, people will surprise you. Um,
yeah.
yeah,
Oh my
it's
gosh. They do. They surprise the
yeah,
hell out of me
yeah,
sometimes. We'll go into like not a fight, but we'll go into an encounter.
yeah.
There was one recently where they had to stop an entire ship from crashing,
Oh, that's scary.
and
That's really cool.
it was intense. And I was reading it, and I go, I have no idea what they're gonna do. Like I really don't know. I know one character can fly. I know like maybe they can do something else. And then we get to the session, and I'm just like, I'm just gonna set up the scene and let you guys go. We'll roll for initiative. It'll be kind of loose with it, and they took it and ran with it, and
Yeah,
they were doing stuff I would have never even thought of because they're so in their
yeah,
characters,
yeah. And
and
they know
they
what
know
they
their
have.
sheets really well. Yeah.
Yeah, they know what they're capable of, and you
Mm-hmm.
like as a DM, you forget all
Yes.
you don't remember every single piece of item you've given them, and like they'll come up with wacky ways to use things too. One of my favorite writers is Robert A. Heinlein. He's the guy that wrote Starship Troopers. If you're familiar with
Okay.
that movie, so he
Yeah.
had
Uh-huh.
in one of his books, he talks about I don't think it's a real story. I think it's just like a saying, but it was like scientists set up a room. And they made 4 exits, and then they put a gorilla in it, and they wanted to see which exit the gorilla would use, and the gorilla found a 5th exit. And that's how players are in games too, where like you as a DM, you'll prep an encounter, and you're like, okay, I think they're going to do this. I think this is how they're going to solve this issue, and that's never how they
Yeah.
do it. They always come up with some crazy other thing that you never thought of to solve
Yeah.
the issue. So like I've come to the point where a lot of encounters, like I'll just throw things like the ship, like crashing ship. I'll just throw that at
Mm-hmm.
them and see how it
Yeah.
goes. Because who cares? They'll figure it out. They'll come up with a way to defeat this. Like same with the
Yeah.
monsters for Monster of the Week. It's like I don't know how they're going to kill this. Good luck. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's their problem to solve, and they will solve it. Like
Yeah.
they're smart, capable people, and they know their characters, and you'll work it out together. Like and it'll be
Mm-hmm.
fun. Like you're all gonna have a
Yeah.
really good time with it.
Yeah. No, that another, like, there's just so many aspects of role playing games that I really enjoy. Uh too many to list at
Yes.
this point. It's just
Yeah.
they're just so much fun. I wish more people would play them. I think the world would be a better place if more people played RPGs.
I 100% agree with you. Like
Yeah.
they're so fun. They're so rewarding. They
Mhm.
bring out like they allow you to be creative in such a way that you don't normally get to be creative.
Mhm.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah.
It unlocks those critical thinking skills that
Hmm.
that in a different way, in a different and a fun way too. And like math too. Like
Yeah.
it's such basic math, but I don't do that much math in my day to day. I am an accounts payable clerk, so I do a little bit,
Yeah.
but yeah, I have a calculator. I have a calculator in front of me.
Yeah.
But when you're playing, you're like, I don't want to pull up a calculator. I'm gonna shove these two numbers in my head and try and come up with the answer.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Let's do this.
Let's do
Math.
this. doing a Pythagorean theorem
Yeah.
when you're with a flying character. You're like,
Yeah.
well,
That's
I never thought
insane.
I'd use this outside of high
Yes,
school.
grade six
So
math. All right, let's pull it
yeah,
out.
that's probably the only thing I ever took away from anything beyond basic math. Yeah.
Yeah, math is fun. But you're right. Like
Yeah.
we all do crazy stuff like that for this game, and I don't know. Do you do character voices usually for your NPCs?
Uh, yes.
Yeah, because
I just do a really bad British accent for half of them.
that's enough though. But that's
Yeah.
the thing that you gotta be creative in that way too, which is a lot of fun. Like I don't know, I have a lot of fun being different NPCs and trying to come up with different voices and different like
Mm-hmm.
trying to come up with different personalities is hard. I found I'm going to talk about Monster of the Week again just because I like it so much. But like I found like when I first did the mystery, I made all the NPCs really friendly to like the sheriff and the deputy who are the hunters in that, and like my players, and it's like, oh shit, I was way too friendly to these guys throughout this entire thing. Like no, almost no one argued with them. So like the
Yeah.
second time around, I'm throwing a lot more like meaner people at them, and it's so much fun to like argue with them and like yell at them
Yeah.
as people. And it's a lot different than I don't get to do that a lot in D&D. I find like their interactions with people are always like quest givers or something like that. There's never like moments where like whereas like in this like they're in a small town and they run into people that like don't really like them for whatever reason. So those people get to yell at them for fun. It's a really fun experience to get to like yell at your friends.
Yeah, I've had a few throughout the time, but I totally get what you're saying. It's not, they're quest givers or they're the monsters that they're facing off against,
Yeah.
and even those big bad guys don't really get fleshed out because that's not the purpose of
Yeah.
what they're doing. They're there to complete the mission. They're not there to talk to the evil werewolf or whatever they're going up against. But every now and then you get those NPCs that just shine for me.
Yeah.
And there's one in the book right now that's probably the favorite of all the books we've ever done. I'm like heavily attached to him, so it's gonna be really hard to say goodbye when they leave this area because he's such a kook and he's just crazy. He breaks the fourth wall, which is kind of a running joke in our show because there's one character, my older brother's character, will do it all the time. He's a time witch, and so he can bounce through different timelines.
Okay.
And there's different versions of him in my brother's canon of this character. There's different versions of this character in different timelines, and so he's really interesting. But he's constantly breaking the fourth wall like that. He'll make jokes about like things in our world, like a dating app or something, but as his character. And so that's been the running joke through the whole show is he's the fourth wall breaker. And I was like, I'm going to bring a fourth wall breaker. We're going to have a duel between the fourth wall breakers.
That's great.
So, yeah. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun. We ups and downs, definitely.
Yeah.
Lots of ups and downs. After 4 years, there's been a few, so...
I don't know. It's just like that's a lot of content too. Like, so much, just crazy. It's boggling, mind-boggling. I'm gonna die.
Oh.
So, I'm playing 6 bards in this game.
Okay.
So this is like the second edition Dungeons and Dragons, and I'm playing 6 bards. It's not a good group. But I'm like almost through the game. Like I'm probably about 2/3 of the way through the game with these bards. I just got hit by a spell though from like a greater mummy, and so all my guys are confused except for one. So I got one guy in my party right now who's actually doing anything. All the other guys are just standing there. So it's not.
I'm not very familiar with Icewind Dale. I've never played it, so
it's an old game. I'm not surprised.
Okay.
It's 22 years old now.
Okay.
I've been playing since its release.
Okay.
Is
it kind of like Baldur's Gate?
Oh, exactly like Baldur's Gate. Exactly like Baldur's Gate.
Okay.
It came after Baldur's Gate 1, before Baldur's Gate 2. It was kind of like they pushed it out as like an easier version of Baldur's Gate, kind of, because they didn't. The story's not bad, but it's more linear. So did you play the first Baldur's Gate? Did you ever play it on PC?
No,
Okay.
I played Dark Alliance. I played the first
Okay,
Dark
so
Alliance.
it's similar gameplay, but so in the first Baldur's Gate there was like 30 maps that you could go and explore, and each of them had their own and they weren't even like part of the storyline. They were just like go explore, because like they're trying to make like D&D where you can just go anywhere in like a sandbox and do whatever you want. So there's like 20 maps to go and explore in that game. They didn't do that in Icewind Dale. Icewind Dale is a very linear story. Like you just go on this path and you just go through it. So they didn't put as much work into the side quests to it, but it's still a really fun game. And like you get to make fighters, wizards, thieves. Like it's as close to playing D&D as you can get outside of your friends, right? So that's why I was attracted to the game. Plus, oh no, she has 7 hit points left. And there's another guy joining the fight. I might have to load it.
What happened? Oh, you're gonna have to reload it.
Yeah, because
yeah.
What has happened? Oh, he got pain on him as well. Ugh, I'm gonna die. That's gonna happen. Anyways, so really, like this is like a very. How did he just die? Okay, I'll take it. It's not an optimal party at all. The only reason it works. Yeah, I had a character death. I'm gonna load. Oh no!
That's so funny. We were just talking about characters dying.
My characters have died a lot. So like that would have been a total party kill if I had just let it keep going, because like they were all stunned basically. So it's like I would have just died. So I probably lost my party 9 times.
Okay.
So far, which isn't bad.
Okay.
It's not good, but
yeah.
they're just not optimized for the fights. Like so, I mean, I do have a couple they're bards, but like I use them as fighters, so they're not the best at it. But it's fun. It's fun to play an unoptimized build. I guess I'm impressed I've gotten as far as I have in the game. Just because I don't know how I've done it, but I have. It's probably just because I've played it so much. I know what to expect, and like when to buff my guys with potions and stuff. And I know
it's that bardic luck. That's really what it is.
That actually is, yeah. A big part of it is so I 2 of my bards, they just spend the whole time singing to buff the group.
Okay.
So and that's really the only way I'm getting through it. So like they're making everyone else better at what they do, and then the other guys just have like really good magical equipment. That's what it comes down to. And like the little bit of spells that bards get in this is seeing me through. I might go and sleep because like. Man,
they're getting hammered.
I'm running out of I don't have any fireballs or anything left.
Oh, okay.
And this guy is tough. Like he's a greater, as I say, he's a greater mummy. He's just hard to fight. He's got a ton of spells, so I'm gonna try to get in his face with my best fighters and stuff. So we'll see how it goes. It might not go well.
Have you tried out the new Kingmaker?
No.
Game?
I would like to play it. I would like to play it. I haven't because we're doing the Kingmaker campaign.
Oh,
so I don't want to get any spoilers because I know they draw heavily from it in that sense. So I won't play it.
Well, I got it pretty early on, and it was so buggy. I had a friend who got it when it launched, and it was like there were so many broken things about it, and every time we'd get on to play it, it would have to do like a 20 gigabyte update to fix all these bugs, and so now I think they fixed a lot of it. It's definitely more playable than it was. I played a few hours into it. I didn't get very far with it. It was enjoyable what I did play. I just didn't want to get to the point where my game broke and I was like out 20 hours and I couldn't keep going for whatever reason. So I might pick it up again in the future and try it again if they fix some of the bugs.
Yeah, I don't know. Just bugs like that are so frustrating. It's like, release it when it's ready. Like, ugh.
Yeah, they did a Kickstarter for it.
Oh, okay.
And it is amazing how, and I say this with no love towards the angry Kickstarter people. Like, if you back a Kickstarter,
Yeah.
like, they get so angry at these companies, and it blows me away. And it, like even worse than like a AAA game
Hmm.
coming out. EA is notorious for releasing these, or like Bethesda with Skyrim, like really buggy
Hmm.
games or whatever. It feels like it's even worse. Like, they don't meet that deadline, and then people just start freaking out that they're never going to get it or
Yeah.
something. And so I wonder, I don't know if it is the case or not, but I wonder if it had something to do with that when they released it, if they were coming up to that deadline and they were like, well, it's not ready, so we're just going to make you all testers, all the Kickstarter
Yeah.
people testers, and
That's
so here you go.
that's not a bad theory, and that like, might have
No,
been the case. Like,
yeah.
at least we're releasing
The,
something. It's like,
well,
is
and
that?
they were a really new studio. I don't know if they'd done anything before. I hadn't heard of them before.
Okay.
Once they did it, they're especially in the like the role playing scene. That studio it has gotten a lot bigger now, and they're doing a second game. They're doing Wrath of the Righteous.
Mm.
So I'm hoping that they took all those experiences that they learned, and they're implementing it with the new game,
Well,
because
I
I think
mean,
it's another Kickstarter as well.
if they're using the same engine and everything, it might be a lot better on the second run around.
Yeah,
Right? You know what I mean? Like, because all they're doing is changing the skin, the story. They're not changing like the background. So a lot of that stuff might be fixed if they're using the same engine, or slightly improving it. So I'd have higher hopes for that than the first time.
yeah, I do too. I'll definitely wait. I'll definitely wait a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't want to get hit with 20 gigabyte updates every time I go to
No,
play the game.
that's so frustrating.
It's
Like,
yeah.
I barely ever game really. Like, this is like the only
Hmm.
time I really play video games these days, because like usually I'll play Magic with my friends, like through online means, and I'll play
Yeah.
but I'm mainly like tabletop gaming, or I'm spending time with my
Hmm.
wife and my family. So
Yeah.
I don't know, if I bought a buggy game, I'd be very upset. I'd be like, or like
Yeah.
back in the day, like I would have, like pull up my Wii U every few months to like play a game, just because like, oh, I have some time, and like the Wii U would be like, I'm gonna load an update for an hour before you play.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, there goes my time to play. Like,
Yeah.
oops.
PlayStation does the same thing. It's
Yeah.
like you can't play it until you update it, and I'm like, what is in this update
Yeah.
that is so imperative to getting downloaded that I can't play the game I really want to play?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I've got to be in the right mood. I've got a lot of games, but I got to be in the right mood to sit down and play a game. Would much rather watch a TV show or read a good book, or like you said, play Magic.
Yeah.
I got into that hard last year.
Did you?
So I did. Yeah, during the pandemic, I was watching a lot of videos, and just it's exploded. I've got some on my dresser over there.
Yeah, I
There's
have.
stacks of cards.
I have stacks of cards, not far.
Yeah.
Far. I've been playing Magic since 95 or 96, I think. So I think
Oh,
nine
okay.
or 10. My dad got me into it, and
Okay.
so I'm not hardcore into it anymore. There was a period where I was like starting to try to get serious into it, and I was like, this is too expensive. I'm not
Yeah.
that good of a player that I kind of realized like I'm not going to make it. So and also like wife and a young family and stuff. It's like I don't want to
Yeah.
pour money into this hobby. So I have my cards. I buy a little bit every year, maybe like $100 worth every year.
Yeah.
But I'm not huge into it anymore. I just play Commander with my friends, and it's
Yep.
very, for me it's casual. They have very serious decks, and so they always beat me. But it's like whatever.
Yeah.
I have a good time.
Yeah.
I get to see my friends. That's enough for me. So
I like building decks a lot. I almost like it more than playing. I actually, so
lot of people
I've
say
been
that, yeah.
playing. I've been playing for like a year, and I won my first game
Nice.
like last week. So
that's a long time to go without winning. I'm impressed that you've
Yeah.
stuck with it this long. Because
I when I started, I would get a little salty, but now I'm at the point I've lost so many times that
You're used to
I
it?
just enjoy. I'm used to it for one.
Yeah.
But I enjoy the company more than the game.
The-
The game is kind of what brings us together,
Yeah.
and and playing it, is enjoyable, but getting to talk to people over a
Hmm.
round of Magic is really what I enjoy. What colors do you like to play? Do you have a
Um,
favorite?
I'd like to say blue because it's tricky. I
Yeah.
find these days I'm gravitating a lot more towards green actually, which is a weird thing. Um,
Okay.
my the things I've always been most successful with though is usually red. Like when I go to tournaments and stuff, if I have like a red or red
Yeah.
black deck, that's usually when I'm most successful. Um, yeah, I like honestly I like all the colors except for white. Like white, I don't usually white I don't play with too much.
Yeah.
I like the like my favorite deck of mine right now is Titania, the Protector of Argoth. So I just blow up my own lands over and over again to make
Okay.
elementals, and it's a lot of fun. It's a really good time. So that's my favorite deck right now. I got a couple other decks I like a lot too. My best deck is probably I have a Kadena Morph deck. That's a lot of fun. So it's black, blue,
Okay.
green. I think black, blue, green's probably my favorite tri-color combination right now. It's like it has everything that I like. Like I can sacrifice my
Yeah.
own things. I can do
Hmm.
crazy things. It's really fun. So I have like a Mimeoplasm deck that I really enjoy too. So that's probably my favorite
Hmm.
tri-color right now. What about you? What's your favorite?
I I really like white, so
Sorry for bashing on white.
no, it made me laugh really hard because a lot of people say that, but I really like white. I like white dual color. Um, I've got a Orzhov, so white black with Teysa as my commander,
Hmm.
and
I have a white black Teysa
she's
deck.
really spicy.
Which
She's really
Teysa do you
spicy.
use?
Uh, Envoy of Ghosts, the one that has protection from everything and makes a spirit and kills creatures when they attack you.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
So I have her as like one of my commanders, and the only reason she's the commander is because I don't have any other black white legendaries, and I was trying to make a black white EDH deck. So my dad he passed away like about 10 years ago now, so I
Oh,
have
okay.
all of his decks, and he wasn't a very good deck maker. All of his decks were pretty much commanders before commander was even a thing. They're all
Yeah.
singleton. They're all like 75, 85 cards. They all had crazy themes to them. So I've taken a
Yeah.
few of his decks. I've taken about 3 of his decks now. I've turned them into commander decks. So I've like taken out some of the really bad cards. I kept his themes going. So I
Mhm.
have his black white spirit deck and Taste is the commander for it. It's not that good of a deck, but it's fun to pull out because it's like I can feel my dad with it. It's really nice. It's like a
Yeah.
nice
That's
nostalgic thing.
incredible. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
incredible. That what a great thing to hold on to as
Yeah, I
well.
bought like nice wooden boxes to put them in, and I sleeved
Mhm.
up all his decks because he never played with sleeves because he was a crazy man, and it's just a nice thing to have. My like
Yeah.
so his favorite things was dragons. He loved dragons. He had a dragon
Okay.
deck. Like as I said, like I was so after he passed, I was looking through his dragon deck, and there was a dragon there I'd never seen before. It was Scion of the Ur Dragon, and it was like
Oh
it was
yeah.
perfect. He was like that's the commander. So that's where I got the idea was when I was looking through that dragon deck. So that was the first one
Mhm.
I made into a commander deck, and it was so nice to have this deck to play with my friends because most of my friends played with my dad too. Like he played Magic with all of them,
Oh.
so like getting to use his cards and play like him, it's a really nice nostalgic thing for me. And
Did they feel the same way
they
when you
do feel the
bring
same way.
those
We talk
decks
about
out?
this. We have a really funny joke. There was one day where like a bunch of us kept like fucking over my dad hard. Sorry for my language, but we
No,
were
you're good.
wrecking his day, and he was getting really angry. And like we all did like I counterspelled something. Then my buddy killed one of his creatures. Then my other friend like fogged on his attack. So it was all 3 of us. And, like so, he said he was really like salty, and he was like, if I knew we were playing with teams, I would have brought a partner. Is what he yelled. Like he kind of
Yeah.
exclaimed. So we say that. Me and my buddy, we say that now when we're playing, and when we
Oh.
feel that we're getting treated that way. So it's like a nice memory of like it's funny because he was so angry,
Yeah.
but it's a sentiment that all Magic players can relate to. So
Oh
we've
yeah.
passed that saying on to like other people that never even met my dad, and they'll say it now too, which is really funny to us. So
That is
he lives
hilarious.
on. It's really nice.
I'm probably gonna start saying it
You
as
should.
well.
If people are picking on you, it's like, if I knew we were playing partners, I would have brought a team.
I would have brought a
Yeah.
teammate.
And, just
That's
remember
hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah. How awesome. That is just such a great thing to hold on to. I feel the same way about my show because my mom's on it,
Yeah.
and I just think I'm gonna have hours and hours of her voice
Forever.
that I can just I can go back and listen to whenever I want. I can show my kids in the future, here, this is your grandma.
Yeah.
She was a huge nerd.
I mean, I have that same thought about myself for my kids.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that our podcast exists so that like
Yeah.
they'll be able to like go back and think, there's dad. Like that's such a nice thing to have. Like I remember when my grandmother passed away, like I like to just call her voicemail sometimes. My aunt kept her voicemail for a while, and it was the funniest thing because it was my grandmother was very prim and proper. She thought she was a princess, even though like growing up she ate squirrel and corn, so it's like, you're not a princess, grandma. But anyways, it was very prim and proper. Like, hi, this is Mary Kay, please leave your name and your number. And there was like a long pause, and then she was like, how do I turn this thing off? It was the funniest. It killed me every time I listened to it. Just because like, that's Nana. That's fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah. It's awesome. It's funny the things that we hold on to. After people are gone. My dad's a mortician, and so we've been around it our whole lives.
Yeah.
We've grown up with it, and so it we've met so many families that go through it, or we hear stories about people that he's worked with.
Yeah.
And so that just that like learning about death at such a young age is interesting. I don't know what it's done to me, but hopefully it's done things for the good.
All good things.
Yeah. But yeah, it's I always tell people that and they kind of freak out. They go, "What? Have you seen dead people?" And then well, yes, I've seen dead people. I used to live in a mortuary. Too.
Yeah, so it was very much like oh shit, what's that movie? My Girl. Like that was your life growing up was My Girl. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, when we moved up to Tremonton where we live now, we moved into this apartment up above the mortuary. While my parents were finding a house to buy. His boss at the time said, "Well, I want to get you started as soon as possible. If you don't have a house, just come live in the apartment." So it was really nice because Dad could be working. We'd get home from school or wherever, and we'd go out and we'd say hi to him.
Yeah.
And he'd have a few more hours, and then there was no commute. He would just like walk home. He just walk into the back, which was really nice too.
That's like where I am. I work from home right now because of COVID. Luckily I'm still at home, and like being able to just like on my break, on my lunch, walk up, have lunch with my kids. It's such a nice thing. So like I definitely appreciate that feeling, like being able to just see them right away.
Yeah. I did that for a little bit. I didn't really like it, but I
love it.
No.
Yeah, I love it.
I get too distracted.
Yeah.
I don't know if I should say that. Hopefully my boss isn't listening.
I don't, just because like my main role is answering the phones. So like
okay.
So I have like a work phone here. That's like connected through VoIP and stuff, so like I can't ignore my job. So it's that's why I like it. Like otherwise, like if I had like a task driven job, maybe I would hate it more. I can't. So there's this lich who keeps coming back to life that I'm fighting, and I can't remember where his phylactery is. And there's only 2 spots left I haven't checked, so it must be one of those 2 spots. So I'm really frustrated that I can't find it because I have to like take it from one crypt and put it into another one for it to be destroyed. It's really silly, but like this lich. So he keeps coming back to life, and I keep having to kill him again. It's very frustrating. One of my girls is
liches are great.
They are. This is actually technically
liches are great.
This is the first lich in like these series of games that you have to fight. Because
Okay.
Baldur's Gate 1 never had a Lich, I don't think. I could be wrong. And then Baldur's Gate 2 had like 4 or 5 Liches, but this came before Baldur's Gate 2. So I think this is like the
Okay.
first Lich you fight in the whole thing.
Oh,
He's
cool.
a jerk, too. Just a jerk.
Just a piece of work.
Just the fact that he comes back to life. The thing is,
Yeah.
the other Liches in Baldur's Gate 2, you're higher level when you fight them, and the spells in Baldur's Gate 2 are better than they are in this game. Like, they have just better spells. So they have time stop. So if they cast time stop on you, you're screwed, because they'll cast time stop, they'll buff themselves up with all these spells, and then have all these things like pointed at you for when the time stop ends, and you just get blasted into oblivion.
And then they just keep coming back.
Yeah, and they just
They're
keep
never
coming back.
down.
They never
Yeah.
die. So I'm hoping
One of the best bad guys in Pathfinder is the Lich. The Tar-Baphon.
Oh yeah. Tar-Baphon. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I've only really read about him much because like I'm a big fan of like Crypt of the Everflame. I'm basing like a homebrew campaign off of Crypt of the Everflame. So they go to like the third part of that. They're supposed to go to the Island of Terror where Tar-Baphon is, right? So I've read about him and stuff like that.
Yeah. That's a really cool module. Is it the Golden City one?
Yeah, it is the Golden City one.
Yeah, they go out to the island in the middle of a lake, and that adventure is awesome. I think that was like his workshop or something.
It was like his city that he ran while he was alive.
It was like his wizard.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like because he was a wizard, and then and so you want to say that was like his wizard factory, wizard tower, whatever. His whole island. It's a wizard island, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. It was his fortress. Yeah. Maybe I can read these journals.
He's awesome. We know because our adventure path takes place in the same area that the war against him was fought.
Yeah.
And so I've read so much about him and the Shining Crusade. It's just such an awesome piece of Pathfinder like Golarion history, because it involves so many different people, and they were all fighting this horrible evil that took countless people to take down, because he was so incredibly powerful, and he was a lich at the time too, so if they got him, he'd still come back, and then the story goes, the only reason they won is because they were the knights that were fighting against him. They were given a shield by the god that had opposed him while he had opposed the Lich while he was still alive. Arodin was the god, and Arodin was actually the one to kill the Lich before he was a Lich. That was part of his whole like Lich process. Yeah. It was the last thing he had to do. So they had this epic battle. Arodin killed him, and then he comes back hundreds of years later. Well, Arodin is a god now when they're fighting him in this crusade, and he gives them the shield, and the shield is what saves them, because Tar-Baphon casts Wish on one of the commander's hearts. He wishes for the heart to appear in his hand to kill him, and as he does it, the shield's energy, or the shield like reflects the energy of the spell, and it breaks the shield into a bunch of different pieces, and one piece goes into his hand, and because of that they were able to stop him. But it just goes to show you how incredibly powerful he was.
Yeah.
Because that was the only thing that could stop him, was this magical god shield that they had been given. So it's just a great part of history in that fantasy world.
They have some amazing history.
They do.
That's so when I do my homebrew thing, like I call it Galaricon. It's Eric's Galarian.
Okay.
So I'm mainly basing it off of like Crypt of the Everflame and Mask of the Living God, and like a little bit off of the third one, the City of Golden Death, it's called.
Yes, that's what it's called. Yes.
I'm not a huge. I've read it through it a couple times, and I'm not a huge fan of that that AP. Not to bash or anything, it is a good AP, but it's not the story that I want to tell. I really
Yeah.
like the Razmir. I really like his story and everything.
Yes.
So like in my world, that's gonna be the focus of the campaign, is fighting off
Okay.
Razmir. So basically in my version, I gotta get use an item first. In my version, he can't get that elixir and give himself immortality. He can't afford it, so he's decided to like declare war on Pharasma instead. So that's the whole gist of the campaign.
Okay.
So like there's this whole country that's trying to like win her over or capture her. Like Razmir is trying all sorts of different things. So there's a whole country like trying to like fight Pharasma, and Pharasma has decided to tap into like 3 nobodies from like the next country over to be her champions, and so that's the PCs are her champions. So one's good, one's neutral, one's evil, and like that's the gist of the story. So we've done like nine episodes. We ran through. We skipped Crypt of the Everflame and we just went straight into Mask of the Living God. So they ran through Mask of the Living God.
Okay.
So instead of having that,
and then you're continuing the story after that.
If we get to it.
Okay.
We're too busy with Kingmaker. Like so we.
Okay. Yeah.
One of our players had to leave for like 8 weeks for business. So during those 8 weeks where he was gone, we did Galericon. I don't know if we'll ever come back to it. I would like to.
Yeah.
I would like to.
That does sound awesome.
It's been fun.
Awesome.
It's really nice to
story.
like. So I talked about this in like the first episode where like when if I'm running, like I ran through all of Curse of the Crimson Throne with a play group years ago, like before podcasts and stuff. And when I'm running like Paizo, I have a really big mental block to like come up with my own stuff. I'd rather like I just I don't know, I feel like compelled to like go look up what they've already written. So I have a hard time with that. Whereas if I'm playing my own world, if I'm playing in Galericon, not Galarian, I can decide what's over that hill over there. I can decide whatever I want. So I've actually done that. Like I've made my own maps for it. I've changed things. Like Last Wall is different in my world than it is. So my Last Wall is a bit more like Hadrian's Wall or the wall from Game of Thrones. There's actually a physical wall, whereas Last Wall and Paizo, there's not really a single wall in Last Wall. The country is Last Wall.
Yeah,
mine there's a physical wall.
Yeah, it's more of just like a symbolic
wall, right? Whereas mine is so like the way I've set up the map is like Last Wall is kind of like where Spain is, and instead of like there's no Strait of Gibraltar, it's connected. So like there's like orcs on the southern side that want to come up to the north, and that's why it was created. They're like they're like a buffer zone for the northern nations from orcs in the south. So it's a lot of fun to be able to like come up with my own things, and you have that freedom because you don't have like someone can be like, well, actually, it's like no, this is Galarian, this is Galericon, so like we can. And it also gives my players more agency because like they can create up their own mythos, and we can just, since it's our own world, we can incorporate that more. We're not trying to like shoehorn anything in. We get to be the final say of it, no matter what. And it just takes out that mental block of like thinking you have to look things up. It's like don't do that. Let's just create our own stuff. So I think it just helps me be a better storyteller. It's fun to mix and match from other things.
I haven't been GMing for much longer than the show.
Oh, really?
And so when I started, it essentially is like my foray into GMing. I did a small campaign that never finished. We ran 6 or 7 sessions, and then I took a long break in between that campaign and the podcast. And so when I started out, my confidence was just at the bottom, you know. I was a fledgling GM, and now as I've gotten my own style, and how I've learned how I like to tell the story, it's really taken like a life of its own. Like I don't remember I said it. I know I said it when I was talking to you, but I took a small portion of one character's backstory and then I exploded it and it's completely changed the story, like the end game of the story. The books are still gonna run the same, but it's not gonna end the same. And there's more social dynamics going on between characters I've made and then other characters, or even like changing some of what they've written to better fit my story.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what's so amazing about it is you can have two groups running the exact same adventure, but both adventures are going to be completely different because of the style of the players and the choices they make,
Yeah.
as well as the GM and what they choose to incorporate from their own imagination.
Yeah.
And yeah, it goes back to what I said before. I think the world would be a better place if people told more stories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I
If
agree
people
with you.
played more RPGs. And I do believe, I honestly believe that there is an RPG out there for everybody.
That's a Twitter blows up with that all the time. I'm not sure how
Yep.
much of the Twitter for TTRP. Everyone's just like, someone would be like, "Oh, I want to do like some crazy storyline with 5th edition," and people are like, "There's already a RPG
Yeah.
that will do that for you. You don't have
Yeah.
to. Don't do it."
Yeah.
It's like there are other
Yeah.
options, and playing other games, like other systems, and playing things like Honey Heist or like just the one-page RPGs.
Yeah.
Playing
Uh-huh.
playing Monster of the Week. Do you follow the Adventure Zone at all?
No,
Okay,
I don't.
so they for this latest season, they just started a new season, and they collaboratively created the world by playing A Quiet Year. Have you ever heard of that game?
Mm-mm.
So it's kind of like I'm not an expert on the game, so it's just all I know about it is basically what I've listened on the Adventure Zone.
Okay.
But it's like a post-apocalyptic game, kind of, where some sort of tragedy or crisis or apocalypse has happened, and you're playing as a group. You're not playing a single character. You're playing the whole like group of people that have come together. And
Okay.
so on your turn, you'll draw a card, and it kind of dictates how you're going to play your turn, whether you're going to like start a new project for the group to like help get them through this crisis, or it might have you put a crisis onto the group. So like you all build the community together and the world together with these cards, and then at the end of it, another catastrophe happens. Like,
Okay.
so you play the Quiet Year, and at the end of that year, something else big happens. So they use that to help build their
Okay.
world. In their storyline, it's like they know that this magical storm is going to destroy everything. So these people are working together to try and move as much of civilization underwater as it can, because they think they'll be safe under the ocean. So they
Wow.
played that game for a series of sessions, built up this world together, took a break. The DM started writing the story, and then they came back into play D&D in this world. But then you can also see when they're playing, they've taken a lot of, because they also did a run of Monster of the Week a few years ago, where they played like a whole session of Monster of the Week. You can see how a lot of the rules and like the spirit of Monster of the Week has been drawn into their 5th edition stuff, because there's a lot more player agency, where the players get to decide things about the world and get to decide things with the NPCs and stuff that come from Monster of the Week. So it's really great to see like their play style meld and mix from all these other games that they've played, and it's great to see that, because like me and my friends are starting to do that with our D&D stuff too. A lot of Monster of the Weeks type stuff is starting to mix into it nice, and it's just a nicer way to play, like the collaborative and allowing people to like having your players make an NPC for you that you get to be is a lot of fun. Like we've done that a lot.
I've never thought of that. That is brilliant.
A lot of the times it's
That
like,
is
what's this guy's
awesome.
name? Like, so
Yeah.
I find it easier in Monster of the Week, because it's like, okay, this guy, you're on a farm, there's going to be a ranch hand. What's the ranch hand's name? And then like the players come up with a crazy backstory where, okay, well, now you've made this ranch hand an important person that I'm gonna have to bring back in the future. Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
So it's
Thanks,
fun
guy.
stuff like that. So like it's having the players like, or like if they go to a town to go shopping, and it's like, oh, what's a tavern name? It's like, well, you name the tavern. You want there to be a tavern? Name it. So it's not all on me. Like, gain them to buy in, and it's much more fun, and like, or like,
Yeah.
like, okay, what is the tavern keeper like? You get to make the tavern keeper that you're about to interact with, and I'll play them, but you can tell me about them first. It's just takes a load off of you creatively, but also and draws them in more, and it's a lot more fun that way. It's just,
wow. I might have to start.
You should start doing it. It's great.
I'm definitely gonna start doing that because there's so many moments where it's like, well, I don't know. It's just some random dude. His name's Bob. Like I don't know. What do you want from me?
Yeah.
There's something weird. Yeah.
Like I have a whole like a name generator I made for Monster of the Week that I barely use now because I just make them do it most of the time. It's like, what's this guy's
That's
last
awesome.
Name?
The best, my favorite from my own experiences, my favorite like naming of characters. I was naming monsters because for some reason I think one of the players asked, well, what are these monsters' names? And so I'm going through and I name one Ted. And then I name one Sam. And then my brother goes, hold on a second. Are you naming these after serial killers? And I go, I honestly wasn't trying to do that. Yeah. But now that you've said it, I don't remember what I named the third one, but some other serial killer. But it was pretty great.
Yeah. I realized that I've named a lot of characters after my uncles by accident because my uncles have like very bland white Christian names. That's like Peter and Ted and Ross.
Oh, so
yeah. It's like, oh, yeah. And I'm like, oh, shit, these are all my uncles. Holy crap.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know how many, like, because Galeria, the names are so weird. Yeah. They're like, you're like the god names like Arodin or Pharasma. You meet some like random, you're like, how do I even say this? And so there's so many times where I can't think of a name quick enough that I'm just like, oh yeah, his name's George. Yeah.
Oh shit, I have to do something. That's why they're not here. Sorry, I just remembered something. I forgot. I have to unlock a door in here. There we go. That's the ticket.
Did you find the phylactery yet?
I did. It was like a little side treasure chest that I missed. So I went back, I got it, and I killed him, and he's gone forever.
Gone forever, finally.
Finally. Good riddance to bad rubbish, I say.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've beat that. So now that the evil is gone, this forge that we're at here, it wasn't running before. Now it's running again. So the ghosts are banished. So we saved the day. But as you do. Yeah. All that does for us though is opened up a deeper part of the mine that we have to go and fight more things because it never ends. An adventurer's job is never done. Did I sleep? I hope I slept. I didn't.
The only time I've ever found a situation where I can't find an RPG that would work for it is I got like really obsessed with the show Ozark.
Yeah,
I'm sure a bunch of people have as well. Oh, such a good show. My opinion of it is slightly controversial, so I won't say it. But I always say I tell people and they go, "You are like speaking blasphemy," because I say I enjoy it more than I enjoy Breaking Bad. And people are like,
I get why you say that. I don't agree with you, but not like in a mean way.
No,
I really like Breaking Bad. I really like.
I did too. No, and like I have nothing against Breaking Bad. I loved it, and I thought the ending was amazing. Mm-hmm. Like everybody, everybody says the ending is really good, and it is. But but keep going. Make your
I think it's still a more solid show than Ozark. There's a few things about Ozark that I dislike, but I can see. I think it's probably more the kids in Ozark. I hate kids in shows.
Okay.
I think I'm just an old asshole, like old man who's just like dark. You know what I mean? Like it's just like, why is this kid a storyline? Who cares?
Yeah. I do get tired of the daughter at times. Right. I do think the son. I think the son is more interesting than the daughter. But even then, there are moments where I'm like, okay, just get back to the drugs already.
Yes, exactly.
Can we get back to the cartel? But I really I don't know. I just have and it's weird to say because it's such a heavy, dark show. I have more fun with it. Like I catch myself like smiling more during Ozark than I did with Breaking Bad when surprising things happen or the characters do something really cool.
I can see why you say that. To be honest,
Yeah,
I can see why you say that. Uh, I
I but I got obsessed with it. What I was gonna say is I got obsessed with it, and I really wanted to, I really wanted to find a tabletop RPG where the players are criminals,
yeah
like the guy. So it'd be set in like our world, somewhere in the states,
yeah.
and they're trying to evade the FBI, and I never got an answer, so I don't know if there is one or not. I'm still looking to find something because I think it would be incredible to have like a meter for it
Yeah,
where it's like your suspicion meter for the FBI, and inevitably they're like in Ozark, wherever you are, whatever crime you're running, eventually someone's going to come to town,
yeah.
and then that will throw the wrench in, and then the players are going to have to figure out what to do with them. But I just need like a system that works in the states that I could play something like that in with and I'm sure there is. I'm sure there is. I just probably haven't found it yet.
Yeah, it's tough to
I could
find.
probably use
Yeah,
GURPS or something. And or actually, I bet I could use I did find one recently. Have you heard of the Cipher system?
I think I have heard of that.
Okay,
Yeah,
it's the system that the game, is it Numenaria? Is that Numeria or something?
I've heard of
It
Numeria.
looks it's Numeria. That's okay, so that's the name of it. But it's that's the system that game runs on. But they have it's kind of a universal setting because you can put it almost anywhere,
Okay.
and the ciphers are your items. They're like your potions
Okay.
or
Okay.
things like that, and those are what you use throughout the game. So that's why it's called the cipher system. And you just change the ciphers to whatever setting you're in,
Okay.
and
Okay.
then they have rules for like if you're in a setting with guns,
Okay.
then you've got like a modern setting, and there's rules for guns. Uh, Maybe I'll look at that one and see if I can make an Ozark game because I think that'd be amazing.
Yeah, it would be. It would be. We
Yeah,
should do it.
I asked about The Boys too, and that one I got a ton of answers because there's so many superhero
There are a
games
lot of superhero games. Yeah.
out there, and I just wanted people's opinions, like which superhero game would work well in a setting like this, and there were a couple that were kind of the general consensus
Yeah.
for it. I can't remember. I have to go back and look at the tweet, but someone actually commented and said, "Hey, I'm actually making my own system for this setting," and so, oh, that's really cool.
I know.
I
So
think that's great.
we did a big collaboration with a bunch of other Canadian podcasts, and there's
Hmm.
one Canadian one called Legends, and it's superhero based, and like they've made their own system, and they're running their own
Hmm.
actual play in that system. Um,
Okay.
so it seems pretty good. There are a bunch of good superhero ones out there. There
Yeah.
seems pretty good. Like it's basically like you start off as like a weak version of the Flash or a weak version
Okay.
of whatever iconic superhero stuff is, and then you build up to being as powerful as Flash eventually and stuff. It seemed like a pretty good
Cool.
system. I've listened to a couple of their episodes. They seem pretty solid. There's some good ones out there though. Like that's the thing.
I
There's an RPG for almost anything now.
Yeah, and the systems too, like the way they work. I have recently discovered. I knew they were out there, but I didn't know like specifics for it. But games that use deck of cards.
Yeah.
And I found a couple of those like Through the Breach is one that I was told about that looks absolutely incredible, and the cards are like fate, and you've got a hand, and so there's like mechanics where you're pushing fate and you're drawing another card or something, but that's the card
Oh,
that
that's
you
very
have to
cool.
play or something like that. So because the characters, they are all there. When you build your character, everybody's given a sentence or two, and that is your ultimate fate. And then the GM takes the sentences that they're given and builds the story around the around those sentences. And so what
cool.
starts as like 8 sentences turns into this big story. And the game plays like an ensemble cast. A different character will take the stage between sessions, and the rest of them will be the supporting cast, but everybody gets a time in the limelight, like multiple times in the limelight. And you just kind of go back and forth between all the characters. That one sounded like a lot of fun.
It does
The
sound like a lot of
world
fun. Yeah.
the world that was built for it sounds really interesting as well. But but I mean, like the systems too, like card drawing or dice rolling or whatever. I mean, do you want more math? Do you want less math? There's one I found that what was it called? It was Battle Sauce, I think, and the guy made it. Have you heard of it? He
No.
made it for his kids.
Cool.
So his kids could play it, and it draws cards as well, and it just is like absurd. It's just ridiculous, and most of it's free too, as well. He just wanted to put PDFs out there for people to use, but that's another one that looked like a lot of fun. He seems like a really cool guy too.
Yeah, there's some
The
amazing
guy that
people
wrote
in this
it.
hobby. Amazing creative
Yeah.
people that really like just enrich the world, and like that's the
Mm-hmm.
great thing about this hobby. Like, I don't know, I find like TTRPG Twitter is like some of the most supportive people out there. Just they're
Yeah.
tons of fun, tons of people doing stuff out there that just want to help other people.
Yeah.
It's just nice. It's just a great group of people. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
There are, I mean,
I
there are
mentioned-
some
yeah.
bad actors out there. Obviously, every group
Yeah.
has bad actors, but it's just a nice community. Like, it's just a fun thing that we can all get around and have a good time.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think everybody's just there to have fun.
Yeah.
At the end of the day,
Yeah.
and yeah, I've met some amazing people. I've been doing interviews on my my side project show,
Yeah.
and I've interviewed some amazing people, and I've learned so much about the hobby. I've learned, like I said, there are different systems that sound really fun to play. I getting to learn about like projects that they're working on, and hearing how excited people get over their passions is probably one of the greatest things in the world. Just seeing them light up when you're having this conversation.
Well, that's the thing. Like, a lot of people, like, oh shit, I got arrows here. Like, when they're playing, like, it's like their world is so important to them. Their story is so important to them that like it's hard not to like see them get excited over it. It's just a nice thing to watch.
Yeah. I heard a great quote that so I can't remember who said it, but they said when you have so much joy, you want to share that joy because you're full.
Yeah.
And then sometimes your joy it's more than you can contain, and so you want to give it to people. And you see that so often in this community because people get so excited and so passionate and so happy about something that they want to take that and share it with other people.
Yeah.
And it's incredible. It's incredible, what people do in this community.
That's the thing. It is incredible. You're right. I like that idea of like my joy cups are overfilling already, and I want to spread that around. I can't keep all this joy for myself. Let's spread it around.
Yeah.
Oh, I hate trolls so much.
They got the health regen. Do they have the health
do.
regen?
You have to kill them with fire or acid.
Yeah.
That's the only thing.
Trolls suck.
Yeah, it's just a big pain in the butt. But I have like a fire sword, so it's not the end of the world.
Okay.
I'm fine.
You have some fireballs.
Yeah, exactly.
As well, yeah.
Yeah, fireball is harder because it's an area of effect, right? It can hurt
Yeah.
guys. But the
okay.
The fire sword's handy. I mean, it's free. I do have fire arrows as well. It's just a big pain in the butt to have to pull all that stuff out, right?
Yeah. Go into the inventory.
One of my pet peeves with this game is the inventory systems are so clunky.
Oh.
Just luckily, like in this version, they've given me like a bag of holding, scroll cases, gem bag, potion bags. Those weren't there when I originally played, so my inventory was always full, and I'd be like, "What do I want to ditch to carry this stuff?" And
Yeah.
do I go out to town and sell it now? Blah, blah. Now, bag of holding, it's just like I just take whatever I want. It's fine.
Yeah.
I have a bag of holding.
When I first played Skyrim, I didn't know that there was a carry capacity, and so I was walking around picking up everything in the room, and then my guy gets over encumbered before I even leave the first dungeon.
Yeah,
I'm like, I'm walking real slow. Why is that? My brother's like, what do you have?
I have
you
everything.
6 brooms in your inventory. Why do you need 6 brooms in your inventory? I was like, I was going to sell them. They're like a gold piece per broom. You're not going to get any money.
Those are expensive
Just drop the brooms. Yeah, I know.
When I started playing our Pathfinder game, one of the traits I took gave me like a donkey to start the game off with. So I'm like, I can carry everything on my donkey. This is great. So I load him up with all this like gear, like ropes and tackle, and he's got a 10-foot pole, and I pull that out every so often. So I have all this stuff that I can like a little bag of tricks on this donkey who like follows me around. It's so much fun. And it's like, you come across all these traps that are like really heavy each. I'm like, I just put them all on my donkey. Don't worry, I got this. So I've broken the inventory system in our Pathfinder game.
My gosh. I bet your GM loves that.
Yeah, it's not bad. And like we usually just hand wave the donkey stuff. It's really fun. Like we came across like a wagon that was like stuck in the river. I'm like, let's load up ropes and use my donkey to help pull it out. It's like, God damn that donkey.
That's a super powered donkey.
It is. Yeah. He's a ton of fun. His name is Bodok.
And this is the character you're playing, Kingmaker?
Yeah, so his name is Baynard. He's a cleric of Erastil. That was like one of the gods they recommended in like the player hand guide, and it's been great.
Yeah.
Like Erastil's all over the Stolen Lands. That's where like we're running around. So the storyline that I came up with for him was that his grandfather used to like be a cleric in this area, but then like when it went wild, he had to leave, and so like Baynard was like, so Baynard's grandfather ended up working for this lord in what's the country's name? Brevoy. So ended up working for some Brevoyan lord, and started training his grandson to be a cleric as well. But like Baynard's so like abrasive and awful, the lord wanted to get rid of him. So when a calling went out for volunteers to go reclaim the Stolen Lands, the lord was like, "Take Baynard, take him. He'll go clear out the Stolen Lands." And for him, it's like, I get to reclaim this land that my grandfather's from. He didn't really realize that his lord was just trying to get rid of him. So that's his backstory. I have one of the lighter backstories for our group, but I like it because it's like we're level 1 characters. We shouldn't have much of a backstory. His backstory was that he was abrasive and rude, and they tried to get rid of him. That's I try
to keep it very slim when I make characters too. My most recent one that I've been playing, and we're doing Wrath of the Righteous, and my character is a cleric of Desna.
Okay, nice.
And he's a Kelid, and they're the wandering tribesmen.
Yeah.
And so everything he owns is in his backpack as well. But while they were traveling, they were attacked, and his whole party was killed by demons. And so everybody that he was with is like, most of his family died in that attack, and he became this heavy drinker.
Okay. And
so he's this alcoholic, and he's been a lot of fun to play. He's just very he's the comedic relief of the group.
Okay.
But he's got such a dark past that's how I'm playing him. He's covering all that darkness with humor. And so he's very funny in the group, and he's able to calm people down as well.
Yeah.
Very, very charismatic. He's much more charismatic than I am, because I won't go up and talk to strangers. He will.
Yeah, exactly. That's the great thing, though. Is
Yeah.
you can do that in this game. That's
Yeah.
fine. You're okay
Yeah.
with it. It's not you. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can be abrasive and rude to people as Baynard because that's just who he is. It's fun.
Yep.
Good times.
It's so great to be someone else
Yeah.
for a little bit,
Like
and
you
then
said,
and then even if it resembles you, like you
Yes.
said earlier,
Yeah.
in certain ways, you're still someone else,
I'm
and
still
that's
someone else,
it's just it's some great escapism,
Mhm.
that I feel like is hard to find, like
Yeah.
that level anywhere else. Because I mean, you could play a video game, and people use that for their escapism.
Yeah.
But it's not the same as adopting a totally different personality for a few hours.
There's very few other hobbies that do it, like community
Yeah.
theater, improv.
Yeah.
Like
Mhm.
that's about it.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, I mean, community theater is not available to everybody. Like, there's auditions.
Yeah.
Plus, you might not
Mhm.
have a group nearby. Plus, like, the time commitment is tough.
Yeah.
Like, I used to do community theater when I was younger. I can't do it now with kids. I don't have time. Like, maybe
Mhm.
when they're older and I have more free time. But like right now, nope.
Yeah.
But it's like there's not a ton of options. But whereas RPGs, it's like way more accessible. Tons more people
Mhm.
playing it these days. And you, like you said, you get to be whoever you want. You get to escape.
Mhm.
You get to have fun. You get to like, I don't know. It's just fun. Acting is fun. It's a fun thing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it is. And just making characters. Like I've made a bunch of characters that I've never gotten to play.
Yeah.
That's also another thing that's really fun. I wanted to play a cult leader, a very charismatic
Yeah.
cult leader who lost his cult. They like abandoned him for whatever
You
reason.
gotta be like a
I
level
never got
5
that far,
character.
but
You have to start as a level 5 character for that guy. You can't just start as a level 1. That doesn't work. Like he's got to
no,
be like
it doesn't
level
work.
5 already.
Yeah. But yeah, that was another character that I came up with. But like you said, there aren't very many hobbies that allow people to do it. I
Yeah.
also think it's a great place to present people with like hard topics. I know some people say like keep the politics out of your games, but so much of what people are inspired by revolves around what is in the real world.
Yes.
And at the same time, you're unintentionally opening up a dialogue for those things that you might not even realize at the time that you're playing, but then you think about the session you just had, and it gives you another perspective on it because you're playing someone else, or someone else in the group gives you a different way to look at something, and I think it does that amazingly as well.
And like I know I've seen a lot of people talk about how like there's a lot of people that have worked through like gender their own personal gender issues in the game, because it's like, okay, I'm gonna play as a girl, and then they find out like, wow, feels way more comfortable to play this character and be a girl for this, like, and that helps them work through it, and like it makes, and like it's a revelation for them. I've heard that so many times, and like it's such a great hobby for that it's helped so many people like get to their true selves. Like again, like where else are you gonna do that? Like there's no opportunities for that. Like it's like
I know.
like I said, like maybe therapy, maybe community theater, maybe improv groups. Like there's not many other places to do this. Like
no,
so, it's such a great hobby for that it can allow people to try different things out, explore different things about their personality. It allows them to, it can be very like you can vent and stuff in it like that you can't in real life. You can yell at your friends in a safe environment, like, and argue with people that you can't normally do in real life, and it's I don't know, there's a lot of opportunity. Like it's practically free therapy. Like that's what
it is. It's so great.
If you're playing with the right people in a safe environment, a safe space, it's a great way to do that. I'm not saying don't go to real therapy, because real therapy helps a lot of people.
No, it does.
But, I mean, for a lot of people, it's find safe places, and that's why, like, I think like those like the horror stories you read online. There's so many people on the Reddit where it's like, don't play in games like this. Playing bad Pathfinder, playing bad D&D, playing none is better than playing bad. and like we
Yeah.
have to, like, as a group, we all have to try to get rid of those bad actors, get rid of the people that
Yeah.
abuse people. Like, you hear about like DMs who like just throw, or even players who just like try to rape people in the game. It's just like, what are you
Yeah.
doing? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
oh my god,
You're supposed to be the good guy.
Yeah.
Like your character is supposed to be the good guy or
Yeah.
or
And,
whatever.
there's
Like
some real creeps out there, and like those are the people that
yeah.
we can't let those people in that environment, because like they ruin it for everyone. Like, that's such a gross violation of a person. It's insane.
Yeah.
You read all these stories of people doing that. It's just like, what are they thinking?
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing?
Or people who have lived through experiences that they then
Yeah, that's why
that
like
the GM tries to act out, and it's like
yeah,
what wherever however you handle like boundaries in your game.
yeah. Session zero is hugely important.
Especially
Especially if you're
hugely
playing with
important.
strangers. Like if you're playing with new players.
Mhm.
Session zero.
Yeah.
All the safety tools. Like, there's always checklists and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, if I've played with groups that aren't my friends, it's like there's always great checklists where you
Yeah.
can list, like, don't talk about this, don't talk about spiders, don't talk about sexual assault, don't talk. And
Mhm.
those tools. It's great to see that the majority of the groups out there are taking advantage of them and use them
Yeah.
properly, and it makes it such a nicer experience for everybody when you can safely
Mhm.
share that as a group and be like, okay, let's not talk about this, let's not do this, and it's just
Yeah.
so much nicer.
And if your group is comfortable with it and you want to lean into it, that's perfectly
Perfectly
fine, but
fine.
you got to make sure that everybody at the table is comfortable, and because you're there to have fun
Yeah.
at the end of the day, and trauma is trauma no matter
Exactly. Yeah,
what
good
it
point,
is.
yeah.
And if you're
Well said.
being forced to like act that out with a character that you've gotten so attached
Yeah.
to, it could be damaging sometimes.
Very damaging.
and-
Very damaging.
yeah. Like panic attacks, like the
Yeah.
can just they can set it off, they can trigger it,
Mm-hmm.
and like in my own personal experience, you feel kind of foolish about it, but that's something that I've learned over the years is that trauma is trauma, and that it doesn't go away.
No.
Like you need to work through it, and you can handle it better, but it's always going to be there. And yeah, so those horror stories, they just yeah, I just can't imagine people doing that.
No.
That's why I very rarely play with strangers.
Yeah.
I did it because I couldn't get groups together, and I wanted a game outside of the podcast,
Yeah.
because it has such a different feel. And so I posted on Facebook, which was I not necessarily a mistake, but I was very overwhelmed because I said, I want to GM. Who wants to play? And I think I got 60 or plus responses,
Yeah.
and then I had to whittle it down to 4 or 5.
Yeah, and like,
And
how
luckily,
do you do that? It's insane.
I know. Because you don't even know those people.
Yeah,
you don't know
exactly.
what kind of player you're bringing into the game.
Mhm.
I hit the lottery with the group I have. Luckily,
That's good.
everybody is so wonderful, and we had that session 0 where we just kind of set everything up. But yeah, it's just a big gamble when you play with people you don't know. You never know.
I mean, there's a case where there's like this guy who is like heavily in the hobby. He was like heavy like on Twitch and stuff like that, and everyone seemed like everyone thought he was a good guy. And then suddenly, like on a live stream, he he didn't physically, but he had characters in his story, and he used the DM like sexually assault one of the players, and it was like on a live stream to a huge audience. And it's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And like, some people will surprise you, and sometimes it's in negative ways. Like we were talking about that earlier.
Yeah.
Like, before we were talking about the positive ways people surprise you, but it can be a negative too, where like,
yeah. I always get bothered when people make fun of or joke about trigger warnings.
Yeah.
Because it really rubs me the wrong way, because like I've got personal triggers that bring up emotions I don't really want to feel, and I'm not fully equipped to handle now. And like watching certain shows, even if I'm not like like full blown getting triggered while I'm watching it,
Hmm.
it leaves you feeling very drained
Yeah.
afterwards because even if you're not like fully into a panic attack or something, you still just feel
Hmm.
exhausted by it because you don't want to be there. You're very uncomfortable
I'm gonna
and sitting in
tell
that
I'll
uncomfortable
tell a
soup for a long time.
quick story about my triggers for a second.
Okay.
We're already over time, but that's fine. I'll do a
Oh,
quick
okay.
story. So I talked about my father passing away. He passed away 12 years ago now.
Hmm.
My wife was dating me at the time, so I probably within like a few months after he died, about 5 months after he died, she took me to a Nicholas Sparks movie. I think it was the Miley Cyrus one because she loves Nicholas Sparks. I'm like, okay, let's just go watch this
Hmm.
movie. I'm okay. I don't mind girly movies like that. I do enjoy them. And it turned
Yes,
out
I
that
do too.
this movie turned out to be about her dad dying. I was like,
Oh,
okay, thanks, Nicholas Sparks. Great. So
yeah.
I leave the movie theater like bawling because
Yeah.
it's all about dad dying. And then there was
Oh,
another Nicholas Sparks movie released that same year, like 6 months later. And it was like, okay, let's go watch this one. It can't possibly be about a dad dying. It was Dear John, and it's about his dad dying. It's
oh
like
my gosh.
2 in 1 year, 2 in 1
What?
year.
2 in 1 year?
Like
Oh
I swear
my
it was like 6 or 8 months
gosh.
apart, and I was just like, we're never watching a Nicholas Sparks movie ever again. Like this is
That's
ridiculous.
horrible. Yeah.
But I mean, it's not a trigger for me anymore. You know what?
Yeah.
The thing that does trigger me, like not hard, but like I get like pains from it, is the meme where it's like the dad who walks in smoking. He's like, "Are you winning, son?" My dad was a smoker. He actually passed from lung
Oh,
cancer.
okay.
So like I see those memes, I'm just like, oh, I miss my dad. Like
Yeah.
it's those ones
Yeah.
get me still, but like I mean, it's not a trigger for me anymore. But it was at that
Hmm.
point. Like there was a bunch
Yeah.
of like I couldn't eat at A&W for a while afterwards because like that was a restaurant me and my dad went to. Like there
Yeah.
was stuff and like. And to make light of that, I'm very
Yeah.
lucky. None of my friends or anyone around me made fun of me or anything for that. And like to try
No.
and make light of people's trigger warnings or just make fun of trigger warnings in general is such like
Yeah.
a negative thing that again like those are bad actors and we don't need them in this hobby. Like they can go
Yeah.
play their own hobby in their own corner, enjoy it over there,
Hmm.
but like don't I don't know.
Yeah.
You're taking like
I think it's just important to play with who you want to play with
yes,
and who
exactly.
you're comfortable
Exactly.
with.
And like
And if those people are comfortable with each other in those games,
if they want to be toxic
that's
with each
perfectly
other,
fine.
being
That's perfectly
that's
fine.
perfectly fine. Go over there, do your
Yeah.
own game.
Hmm.
Don't
Yeah. I'm
and
not going to stop you from playing it, but
yes.
I don't want to play
Yeah,
with you.
don't.
Yeah.
That's there's a lot of people that try to tell each other how they have to play in this hobby.
Yeah.
No, you don't have to listen to anyone else. It's
No.
your table, your
No.
friends. You make the
Yeah.
rules. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
Anyway, Spencer, it's well over the time, so thank you so much for coming out. We'll say
Yeah.
goodbye to the audience at this point. Check out. Sorry, Gathering of the Ages. Check out
Yeah.
their 4.5 books into Carrying Crown. They have an amazing podcast. Check them out. All right. Thanks so much, everyone. Have a great night.
Bye.